Okay, so if you need to take a moment to pause the tape and draw the picture, the diagram, go ahead and do that now. And notice what we have here. We have this angle, this one right here. By the way, this is 90 degrees. And then this third angle all makes a straight line, so they all add up to 180 together, all three of them. So all these three, I can write an equation for that. So x plus 50 plus 90, and then x minus 20, all equals 180 degrees. So I need to combine like terms, so I'm going to first take my x's. Now that's the invisible 1 right there. Okay, so that's a 1x, and same thing over here. That's a 1x. Now these are both positive. Positive 1x and positive 1x. Okay, if I put those two together, that's going to give me positive 2x. Okay, now I'll take my, I'll go ahead and I'll take my other numbers, my constants. I'll put those together. So I have 50 plus 90 and minus 20. Okay, so 90 and 50 would make 140. All right, and 140 minus 20 is 120. So that is 120. Put that down there. Because that's 140. And the minus 20 is 120. And all that equals 180 degrees. Now I'll get rid of my constant, and then I'll get rid of the coefficient. So to get rid of plus 20, remember, do the opposite. So if it's adding 20, adding 120, I subtract 120. But you have to be fair, do it to both sides. And that's gone. So now I'll bring down the 2x. Bring down your equals. Try and keep your equals lined up. 180 minus 120, that would just be 60. Okay, you could probably see your answer, but in case you cannot, go ahead and divide by 2. And so that gives me x, equals, and half of 60 is 30. So x is 30. Now that's just for x. That's not our answer. That's just x. So x is 30. There's our answer there. Now for angle A, it's 30 plus 50. Because x is 30. So 30 plus 50, that would be 80. So that angle is 80 degrees. For angle B, we have x minus 20. Well, that's 30 minus 20. 30 minus 20 is 10. So that's 10 degrees. So this is 80 and this is 10. And that kind of makes sense because you have 80 and 10, that's 90, and then another 90 would make 180, a straight line. Okay, here's our second problem. You can pause it, take a moment, and copy that. Okay, now if you take a look, that I have, I'm trying to find x right here. And if you notice, you see a straight line. Okay, so that must mean that these three angles add up to 180. So I have 45x and 55 equals 180 degrees. So I can make that into an equation. So again, those three angles, 45, x and 55 equals 180. So now all I need to do is solve for x. So I only have one x right here. One positive x. So I just have x. Now let's take my constants and put those together. So I have 55 That's positive 50, I'm sorry, 45 and 55 together. 45 and 55 together would make 100. So that's positive 100. So x plus 100 equals 180. Okay, so you could probably see your answer, but in case you cannot, go ahead and you would subtract 100. And then we have, bring down your x. That gives us 80. So x is 80. So now if we slide over, we can see that this is 80 degrees, x. So angle A is 80 degrees. Now we need to know what angle B is. Well, that should be pretty clear. You look at angle B, if you notice these, this angle, this line and this line, notice that these two are congruent because they are vertical angles. So if this is 55, angle B is also 55. degrees because they're vertical angles. Here's number 3. If you want to take a moment, copy that. Okay, so if you notice that here's a straight line, and we have two angles, this angle here and this angle here. Together they make a straight line, so that means it's these two added together makes 180 degrees. So we can make that into an equation. This plus this equals 180. So our equation is 4x plus 36 plus 8x equals 180. So let's put our like terms together. I have positive, that's a positive 4x, and this is a positive 8x. So put those together, and that gives us 12x. And then I just have this one constant, plus 36, positive 36. And all that equals 180. Okay, next I want to get rid of my constant. So do the inverse. If it's adding 36, you would subtract 36. You need to do it to both sides. You have to be fair. So that's gone. Bring down our 12x. Equals, try and keep your equals lined up, and 180 minus 36. So what would that be? It would be 144. See if that makes sense to you. Yep, 144. Okay, well you should be able to see your answer right now, because isn't 12 times 12 144? But again, in case you cannot see that, you would simply divide by 12. And that's gone, and we have x equals 12 goes in 144, 12 times. So x is 12. Okay, so we said x is 12, so this right here, that's 12. So we have 4 times 12, that's 48, plus 36. So if I add that together, 8 and 6, 4, 5, and 3, that makes 8. So 84 degrees. 84. So angle A is 84 degrees. All right, and then for this one, again, x is 12. This right here is 12. So 8 times 12. If you know your 12s, it would be 96. So it's 96 degrees. And notice if you add these together, you get like 96 and 4 makes 100, 180. So that all works out. Okay, so here is number 4, if you want to take a moment to draw that. Okay, so something right away should be pretty obvious to you, and that is, here's angle A. And notice that these are vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. So if this is 70, then this must be 70 degrees. So angle A is 70 degrees. Okay, and then now that we have that, these two angles add up to 180. Or you could even do these two angles add up to 180. Because if you notice, for example, right here, there's a straight line. That would make 180. Also notice, here's a straight line. So these two angles would add up to 180. It's the same thing. So I'll just write an equation real quick for this. So we have 70 plus x equals 180. So I subtract 70. That's gone. So we have x equals 180 minus 70 is 110. So this is 110. So angle B is 110 degrees. And that makes sense, doesn't it? These two together make 180. These two together make 180. And even going the other direction. These two together make 180. Okay, you might want to take a moment, draw the diagram. Okay, so if you notice that we have these two angles add up to 180. They make a straight line. However, I don't know what angle A is, or we don't know A and we don't know X. However, down below, this is 4X. This whole line. So if I do this, you can see that this is a straight angle or straight line. So 4x equals 180 degrees. So I'll just divide by 4 and I'll know what x is. So if I do that, 4 into 180. Now if you're having problems doing this, looking at it and figuring it out, you could always just do long division. So 4 and 180. Okay, so 4 into 18. Excuse me a moment. 4 goes into 18 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16. That's 2 left over. Bring down the 0. 4 goes into 20 5 times. So it's 45. So x is 45. So I'll just put that down in there. X is 45. Okay, so great, we found x, but what about angle A? Okay, so x, this is 45 degrees. Now we need to find this one. Okay, notice again how that makes a straight line. So these two angles together, this one and this one, make 180 degrees. So I can write that into an equation. I have, I'll just put angle A plus 45 equals 180. I'll subtract 45. So now I have angle A equal to 180 minus 45. How much is that? If you don't know, go ahead and borrow. That's 7, 10, that's 5. 7 minus 4 is 3. So it's 135. Angle A is 135. This right here is 135 degrees. So I'll write that down below. So, and if you add those two together, again, those add up to 180. So the key is to make this find x first, and that these two equal 180. Not these three. Some people make the mistake of saying 4x plus x. And 4x plus x, okay, that is not a straight line. This is not 180 degrees. This is 180 degrees. And I think that was many students' mistakes.